Hello, my doves, my loves, my friends, and welcome to the first official episode of Tarot, Tea, and Transformation. There is absolutely nowhere I'd rather be right now than with you. And today's topic of transformation goes over some pretty deep stuff. We're coming into Scorpio season, and I'm going through my own deep portal of transformation. And I couldn't think of a better way to spend my time than doing this right now and doing what I love and sharing it with you. And I'll explain a little bit more about how I arrived at this decision. But for those of you who are joining, hello. My name is Jacqueline 7-Star, and I have been a professional tarot reader for 16 years. I've been communicating with spirit for over 20 years and learning the knowledge and wisdom of transformation and all of its nuances. It's been a lifetime of study, and it's my favorite thing to do to sit down with friends and have some tea, talk about transformation, deep spiritual things. I sometimes don't know how to be anybody else. So that is how I arrived here at this first episode. And to let you know kind of what the format's going to be, the episode should post. I haven't decided whether it's going to be Thursdays or Fridays, but it'll be once a week. And basically the segments are Tea with Jacqueline. Because if you know me, then you know I'm always drinking tea. So I'm going to tell you what I'm drinking and why. I have my own herbal apothecary, and I like to play with different herbs depending on my mood. And I'm somebody who understands that when you're going through deep portals of transformation, it's nice to have plant medicine to support you during these times, especially when you're going through chemical changes. And I really don't think people talk about that enough, that what your body goes through when you're transforming and you're changing, especially like spiritual initiations. But the segments will be Tea with Jacqueline. Like I said, that's what we'll always start with. And then I'm going to give you the collective energy for the week, like how you can master the week ahead. So I'll be channeling with my guides and source energy just to kind of give you guys a heads up what to expect with the week and how you can master it. And then we'll get into a transformation topic. Usually I can kind of tell where my intuition's going to take me. There's always a theme I've noticed, and there's always something about transformation that I can talk about. And so I'll be doing that. And then the very last segment is another thing that I'm throwing in here just because I love to, is reviewing tarot decks and giving you guys a live reading from the tarot deck that I'm reviewing. And the tarot deck will have 3 criteria that I'm grading, either a 1 out of 7. And because I'm 7-star and 7 has very deep meanings to me, and to me, the number 7 holds a little bit more weight than maybe 5 or 10. So that's what I went with. And so for today's episode, I'll have Tea with Jacqueline. I will just kind of talk about what interests me, but mostly today I'm talking about why I'm doing this and what in my journey has brought me here. And then we'll get into the collective energy, how to master the week ahead. And just to give you a little sneak peek, we're in Scorpio season, and boy, is that what the spirits wanted to talk about today. So very much in that Scorpio energy to expect in the week ahead. And then the transformation topic is something that's also very near and dear to my heart, which I'll be going over: rebuilding, retirement mindset, and relocation. So it's basically how to contend with the liminal space once you've come out of the fires of transformation. So if this sounds like something that you would love to sit and have some tea with me and visit me on a weekly basis, then sit down, get cozy, maybe bring some tea with you, bring a journal for notes, because I feel like if you're my audience, you're like me, you're going to have a journal and you're going to want to take notes. Okay. So I will be sipping a lot of tea because this is our first segment of our first episode, and that is Tea with Jacqueline. And right now, it would help for me to remember what I put in my tea. But today I put chamomile, Oatstraw, and I think a little bit of Passionflower, and I did microdose some Blue Lotus just to kind of help with my nerves a little bit. And Blue Lotus is a wonderful eye opener, so it's a very It's a really good thing to have right now. And for those of you who don't know about Oatstraw, let me tell you, Oatstraw is a miracle worker. There aren't many things out there that you can get silica from, and our bodies really need it. And a lot of the foods, especially here in the US, are just robbed of their nutrients. And oat straw, if you just steep it for like 20 minutes or sometimes overnight, you're getting all of the trace minerals that your body needs plus silica. So I just felt like I needed some extra nutrients. The passionflower is also something that kind of relaxes the nerves, makes you feel good. And then chamomile is kind of just something you can toss in all the time because it's great for the gut. It's also relaxing and nourishing. So to me, I wanted a really nourishing tea. And I will actually put down below the exact ingredients if you want to recreate this tea. I really think it's good for nighttime, when you need more nutrients. Maybe you're kind of settling in, want to settle your nerves a bit, but you don't want anything harsh. It's just real gentle and gentle on your stomach. So that is the tea I'm drinking. And to honor Tea with Jacqueline, what I wanted to talk about tonight, because I think I've decided to do this at night just because it feels a little bit more with the vibe that I'm feeling. And I have always loved doing speaking about transformation. And fun story, many moons ago when I was a younger Jacqueline, and I think I was just starting as Austin, Texas medium, and I was doing mediumship readings, and I got this idea to do Dance of the Planets on YouTube. And I loved it so much, guys. I basically would tune into the celestial bodies, channel them in my journal throughout the week. And then it's kind of like the segment I'm doing on this podcast where I basically tell you how to master the week ahead and let you know what's going on with the celestial bodies. Because if you're anything like me and you're spiritually sensitive and you're just someone who's very tuned in, you were born that way, or maybe you weren't born that way, but you've started to develop those gifts, those dormant gifts that you have. And you'll notice that the celestial bodies influence you. And those of you who love astrology, you know this. The wheel of the year, 12 months, is a spinning and it's a turning with the planets as well in transit. And so they affect our bodies and our emotions. So I always like to be like, what's going on up there in the outer influence? So sometimes you know that it's not you, it's them. It's like, you're not doing anything wrong. And so that is what I would do. And I loved it so much. And this is a funny story. So I go into my sacred space to contemplate, check in with spirit every day for my own personal journey. And I really think setting that time for a sacred space every day really brought me to where I was and allowed me to really tune in clearly to my inner sight and my higher self. And my higher self had shared with me that I needed to stop Dance of the Planets on YouTube, even though it was starting to take off. And I was absolutely devastated. Caveat though, if I were to have received that message now in my sacred space about something that I love so dearly, I wouldn't listen. I'm too far in my master and authority and my masculine will to go against something that I love. But hear me out. The reason why I think, and I know this to be true, that I wasn't meant to continue Dance of the Planets was it wasn't the right time. I think if from that point on, young Jacqueline to now, I think that's been about 7 years, I wouldn't have been able to hold whatever success I was given. And I think even though my why was really good, that I did this specific YouTube, everything else in my life, I feel like I was still trying to prove a point, to be seen as somebody who knew what they were talking about. And then there's some things in my life, relationship wise, and deep childhood wounds that really needed to be exercised, and the events that had to take place for me to not remove but heal those things and integrate that It's messy. Like transformation is messy, and it would have been in the public. I probably wouldn't have been able to maintain anything that I had grown. So in a lot of ways, I'm really thankful to my higher self for putting me on pause for that. And then I did question whether or not to bring it back because if for some reason, it's always been stuck in my mind, something that I love so much. And it was so devastating for me not to continue Dance of the Planets that I almost like, well, maybe that's just not for me. And it was a lot of work that I had to do to say, you know what, I truly just love to do this. And I love to speak about transformation. I like to tell people about what I'm tuning into because oftentimes I'll have these miraculous insights that have unfolded over time. And I'm like, huzzah! And I look up and it's just me in my sacred space. And I feel like my entire world is expanding and magic is real. And then it's just like, hello? Anybody there? So that is why I love to do this. And so this is why I'm starting this podcast and sharing with you a lot of insights that I have. And I do know, it's like, I do know the things that I've learned over the years. I have like maybe 12 journals just full of information, all the books that I've studied. I'm in it every day, guys, and I'm talking to spirits. And if I can share my gift with you, that is a love affair that I have in my heart. So that concludes our tea with Jacqueline. In the future, I'll probably just talk about things that interest me, or maybe something funny that happened during my week, or maybe a huzzah moment I finally get to share. Not to say I don't have friends. I do have friends in my inner circle that I can share some of these things with too, but I digress. Let's go ahead and get to the next segment, which is like resurrecting my Dance of the Planets, you guys. So I'm going to have a ball doing this. But how do you master the week ahead? And you'll be noticing me checking my notes because I put all of this together throughout the week and it's just kind of putting different insights. And I don't want you to miss anything that our guardians and our guides have given me. And bear with me because I will be sipping on tea throughout this whole thing. Okay, how can you master the week ahead? So, in light of Scorpio season, it wasn't until I started putting everything down that I realized, like, oh, this is so Scorpio. But what you can expect from the week ahead is a lot of deep transformation, a lot of deep work, a lot of light and dark themes, trickster energy, shadow integration. And this is one of my favorite topics to talk about. This Eros and desire energy, like sensuality and creative desire. And Halloween is just like perfect Scorpio energy. I can't believe I've never really thought about that, but it really is when the veil is really thin and you can really connect with spirit, your psychic gifts, and tricksters as well. As you know, trick or treat. I mean, come on. So when I put this all together, I was like, wow, all right, cool. Didn't know that, didn't put that together before. And for those of you who watch my tarot readings, we've already discussed this 555 portal, and what's interesting to me, I didn't really put this together either. It is very Scorpio energy too, but 555 is also very Saturn energy, very trickster energy. And 5 is also the number of change. So of course, I mean, 5 is transformation. It goes right in with Scorpio. And then also Mars. Scorpio's ruling planet is Mars, which is fiery Mars. And so, for those of you who watched one of my videos, 555 was a portal, and I'll maybe try and link that video below. That adds up to 15, which is the devil in the tarot deck, which is all about illuminating the chains that we're placing ourselves, the false illusions, all in the name of liberation. So it's like limits, desire, distraction to true desire, that sort of thing. And so that is how you're going to master your week ahead, is mastering these energies. And so how do we master Scorpio energy? How do we master that week ahead? And when you're dealing with really deep transformation, and we're talking shadow, We're really talking about the pain body, and specifically with the devil is self-induced pain and suffering. So maybe you have your body chemically is addicted to the suffering. And I hear you. I've been there. And so Scorpio can really amplify that energy. Fives, Mars can amplify that type of energy. And so, how do you want to center yourself during a time that's asking for deep transformation? And maybe you're coming out of fires of transformation. I wouldn't be surprised if you've come across this video. It's because you are in it or just gotten out of it. And it's meditation, naps, nature. It's all about achieving a state of inner calm. So this week ahead, think about how can you bring yourself to a place of inner calm when you feel your brain going back to how it feels about suffering. Maybe your body remembers things, because the body has memory of something that was painful. Breathe through it, do some somatic tapping, letting you know that you're safe. Here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to disassociate. You don't want to distract or self-neglect. So when you get into this type of energy of trying to transmute and to ascend beyond the pain body and the false, another thing that is false is our material reality. So sometimes something will happen, right, in our physical reality, like finances, like maybe you could lose a job, can't pay a bill, or you have a relationship that doesn't come through for you. I mean, it could be any little thing. And how do we not make that about us or like victimhood or take it on with too much suffering? You can acknowledge it, and you can hold yourself and bring yourself to a start of inner calm. But what you don't want to do is disassociate and not deal with it and push it away, because it will just fester and become a wound and become poison in your body. And Scorpio, venom, right? You're really dealing with venomous things. And so sometimes this trickster energy will bring venomous people your way. So you might, people that know how to push your buttons, they know exactly what to say to trigger you, or you might find yourself triggered. And it's that trickster energy, because those tricksters will use the weak-minded around you in order to come at you. But remember, it's not an attack. If poison darts come at you, it is one of the most beautiful opportunities, because you can thank your enemies for this or the people around you who maybe aren't fully, they don't know how to balance themselves and things just spew out at you and they don't realize they're projecting. You can really thank them for the opportunity, because when you transmute that, that becomes power, that becomes gold. So tricksters, we can always thank them, because either they're trying to get us out of our ego and have a laugh, like, you thought you were so cool, or they're trying to get you out of your pain body and recognize your truth and your power. You always have power. You can choose not to suffer, but that does not mean to disassociate from the pain. Definitely acknowledge it and give yourself love and compassion. And then don't distract yourself. If something's coming up and you find yourself going towards maybe an addictive tendency, or going out, or you see yourself reaching towards things that would be self-sabotaging, that's how you kind of know that you're like neglecting self in some way. So there's a balance to get when you're dealing with the pain body, with deep transformations and poison and venom from Scorpio. And kind of the only way to get through it is your higher self, is that love and connection with your higher self, to know that you always hold yourself in love. You're never alone. You also have guides. And that brings me to another thing about kind of being in a thinning veil with all these with all these things that kind of want to get at you. Family and pets and relationships, love relationships, are a great time to be grateful for them, because of this type of energy to kind of help you feel loved in a healthy way. Remember, it's healthy attachment. So, and that is the other thing about Scorpio energy. And I don't know what I was receiving and this specifically deals with it, but if you're thinking about the devil and the tarot, right, it's also about exploring desire. But it's like, it may feel taboo, but if you check in your heart and what it's doing for you, you are the only one that can really say this is a true desire or a desire that's more distraction or disassociation, right? But desire, true desire, is Eros. It's movement. It's the thing that literally makes life. You think about like desire in terms of relationships, giving and receiving. You know what I'm putting up, Like, what is that expression? I know what you're, I can't, it's out of my mind. It's that, see, that's another thing. The veil is thin, thoughts not as clear. Picking up what you're putting down. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? It's the literal movement of the world. It's creative force. It's vitality. It's right? And so in order to transform and to like live your love, which is pretty much what deep transformation is about, and Scorpio energy about shadow integration is loving yourself to face the truth. Like, are you willing to look in that mirror and look at yourself and face your deepest truths, your deepest fears, your deepest wounds? That's removing poison from the body. I will say that. The scorpion sting will remove poison from your body. And the biggest poison that it will ever remove is that little dark corner in your soul that you don't want to visit because it's your deepest wound. So, but guess what? When you get there and you look at it and you see the truth of it, it liberates you. It, like poison, removes veils. So it dismantles it. It's uncomfortable. It stings. It burns, but it's burning out of you, baby. So it allows you to be your truest self and to rebuild from there, which is going to be, that would have been a great segue to my next segment, but we're still not done with mastering the week ahead. So pretty much what I was trying to get to with connection and sensuality and desire and Eros, it's good to get in touch with that. So mastering the week ahead for you could be really figuring out what your true desires are. What is pleasurable for you and how is that your power? Because tuning into your sensuality and your pleasure is your kundalini. It's your vital life force. It's the thing that moves you in love to create. And what do we really want to create is the most fulfilling life. So if you aren't connected to your life force, your sensuality, and your desires and what gets you going, then how are you going to design a deeply fulfilling life if you don't know those true desires? And it is an exploration. So to master the week ahead, perhaps you are exploring your desires, your sensuality. How can you get in touch with that? Maybe you're exploring the spiritual realm and how you can guard and protect yourself. Another thing to master the week ahead, Palo Santo. It's going to be your best friend, especially because the veil is thin, or if you're feeling like you're getting that trickster energy, get your Palo Santo out and then get your journal out and be like, okay, what are you trying to highlight in my life? What can I transmute to gold? So, and then there's also integrating the shadow. So there is opportunity here for that. So what I want to say is get your support group if you have it. But man, I do sort of have some disheartening news about Scorpios and Scorpions in general. You know, Scorpions aren't in packs, right? Like if if Scorpions were in packs, dear God, but they're not, right? They are lone wolves and they are solitary. They know what they need to do in order to survive. So a lot of times this deep shadow work is a solitary journey, just you in the desert with a venom sting, dismantling everything. And if that's you, my heart goes out to you. Honey, I've been there too. You're not alone. But guess what? When you spend that deep shadow work with that scorpion sting and it's dismantling your greatest wound and you're seeing it clearly for the first time, breaks your heart, shatters you, but you come back with your power. So worth it. Okay. So let me make sure anything else, how to kind of master that. So yeah, connection. That's another thing is like to master the week ahead. How can you connect more deeply with your loved ones? How can you connect more deeply with your sensuality? How can you connect more deeply with your higher self? You have the purest love you will ever know. So kind of think about that. And here's a couple of last things I'll leave you with before we get to the next segment. And the kind of polarity that you want to be thinking about in the week ahead. And for those of you who don't know what polarity means, is again, we're talking about push, pull, give, and receive. That's how things move, right? Well, two things exist on the same pole. And what's so beautiful about it, okay, let's say for instance, you have power, but then you have corruption. So if you're experiencing corruption, on the other end of that is power. So you can transmute whatever corruption you're feeling into your power. Were we not just talking about that? Then you have knowledge and illusion. If you feel yourself realizing that you've been suffering under an illusion, like a truth just came to light, it was illuminated, that's our devil energy. Loves to illuminate in the darkness what's going on with our false illusions and our ego. What is on the other coin? Knowledge. So what do you receive from that is knowledge that can never be taken away from you. So that's kind of polarity, right? Hate, love. If someone says they hate you, you can go, oh, you love me. So that's kind of polarity. So the type of polarities that you're going to be encountering, I already mentioned. Desire, entrapment. Do your desires rule you or do you rule your desires? Power, corruption, knowledge, illusion. So kind of be thinking about those things throughout the week. So I'm going to give you 4 little nuggets of wisdom to take with you to master the week ahead or to think about. Pleasure becomes prayer when it is grounded in presence. Pleasure becomes prayer when it's grounded in presence. And what does presence mean? It means that you are looking at something absolutely clear. There are no illusions. And if it's true, then that pleasure is prayer and it's power. Okay, power, speaking of which, becomes service when it's tethered to love. So some people that may be uncomfortable with power, start thinking about how power is in service to love and how you can be in that place and it's a loving place. And love is the unifying, oh my goodness, love is the unifying force in our world. So when it talks about polarity, when you feel divided, there is no division except what's in our mind, right? There's no division between these two poles except our own ego telling us that we're separated. Love is the unifying force. Love is the ultimate transmutation, and that is power. Okay. Third, desire becomes creation when it honors both body and truth. We were kind of talking about that already when it comes to pleasure, but I guess I feel I just need to keep talking about it. And knowledge becomes wisdom when it's softened by humility. So, especially for those other teachers here listening, sometimes wisdom, you can know something, but it's not true wisdom until you've gone through it yourself. And boy, does that humble you, right? Especially when Scorpio energy is known for ego deaths. Devil energy is known for ego deaths. But here, let me leave you with something kind of interesting. It's the great secret. It's that secret fire. Scorpio talks about this more than anything. What is the secret fire? The devil. The very thing that illuminates you in your mind, the prison that you have in your mind where you think you're trapped, but you've been free all along. And it's the fire that breaks down those illusions and illuminates that sets you free. So that trickster energy literally is your freedom. It's like that little wink. It's like, oh, you think that I'm scary in the dark, here to just attack you. No, I'm here to free you. And 15 in tarot adds up to 6. And 6 is harmony. It's love. It's beauty. It's the sun. So if you can liberate yourself, then you have this beautiful love energy that burns as bright as the sun, and you can attract and magnetize more love into your life. So even though it's a little dark, it's a little scary, Scorpio season, it is the literal secret fire that can set you free. So I wish you luck in the week ahead. Let me know in the comments below if you're experiencing anything like this throughout the week. I would love to know. And that brings us to our next segment, which is the transformation topic. I want to talk about relocation, retirement mindset, and rebuilding. That's a lot of alliteration. But the reason I wanted to talk about it is because it's something that I've experienced very recently. And so there's a lot of things that I can talk about with this. And excuse me as I sip some tea, because I need to prepare myself for this one. That's good. I forgot to mention I put a little honey in that. And honey's great for like glucose, settling that blood sugar in a healthy way. I digress. Okay, so what the heck do I mean by relocation, retirement mindset, and rebuilding? So you want to talk about the fires of transformation. It's a perfect time to talk about it with Scorpio. It's a deep, transformative process that you can never go back, and it has the ability to liberate you by testing your limits. And if you're coming out of the fires of transformation, and what if you're coming out of an epic one? Because like 555 is like triple, right? It's like, whoa, this is big time. What if relationships have left you, your job has left you, you're even moving homes, and then suddenly you look around you and you're all alone? That is like the ultimate relocation. And when you relocate, there is an opportunity to rebuild, but there is a liminal space there that I want to talk about that is very difficult to deal with in transformation. For those of you that can happily navigate liminal space, I'm actually hoping by you listening to this, maybe you can get through your liminal space with more joy. There is joy to be found in the liminal space if you can allow yourself that. If you can remove yourself from mass conditioning and know that you're safe and protected in this liminal space, and you can give yourself love and compassion as you rebuild into something new and hold down the new energy and not go backwards. Fabulous. And I'm going to give you tips on how to do all that. So I've already talked about what relocation is like. So if you're in a relocation, it can be literally you're moving geographically. Relocation can also be divorce. It could be big breakups. Relocation can be switching careers, switching identities, being an entirely new person. So that's kind of like a relocation. And it's because it was initiatory. If you're listening to this podcast, honey, you are meant to have spiritual initiations. It's not just things, naturally happening out there, like little components came together and that's why it happened. No. There was an enacting divine intelligence force that caused this to come through. And it's usually because you signed up for it. And you were like, I am ready to experience my highest expression of life. I want nothing but destiny and nothing but truth. This is how relocation happens. So when you are relocating and you're to the new space and you're looking up and you're all alone, how can you basically best take advantage of this time and then maybe try and be a little easy on yourself? This is the time to rest. It's the time to pause. It's the time to heal. If you guys know about quantum leaps, one cell disappears and then suddenly pops up in its higher level, in its elevated position, entirely new, right? But you don't see where it goes. It's because it's that portal. It's that tunnel space. And in that tunnel space, it is often extremely confusing because there is no clear sight to where you're going yet because it hasn't been built yet. And if you've gone through a spiritual initiation, it's asking you to be a greater authority and master in your life. And so you can't even know what you want to rebuild truthfully unless you sit in that pause. And sometimes the longer, the better. So having patience in the pause is going to be your best friend. And the other thing is protection, is to please remember that when you have gone through these initiatory forces, we sometimes forget that there is a holy source and guardian that is with us the entire time, protecting us through this process. So if you can remember to be patient with the pause and remember that you are so protected during this time. I'm even quieting down because I can feel the like the literal energy of guardians and spirits right now, echoing that yes, you can't see us and you can't hear us, but we're there and we're protecting you through the journey because it is a very delicate and sensitive space. And guess what? Source, all that Source and the Holy Mother wants for you is for you to have what you truly desire. And so that is why they protect you in this portal space. They don't want you to go back, and they're there for you. They're listening. So prayer is a wonderful thing that you can do, and asking for support and assistance on a daily basis. And then healing. If grief is something that really comes up in relocation when the new life hasn't taken up yet, yeah, you're sitting there. Again, we're talking about Scorpio season with the pain body and the memories of the past. And it's just like maybe you don't have as much support systems or anything familiar that you can even hold on to. So it is devastating and it is difficult and it's hard. And transformation often sometimes is very solitary, especially for those really advanced light workers that decided to sign up and come here. And you may very well be one of those. So you be gentle with yourself in the grief. And remember, when it comes to grief and your mastery and your authority, that you get to decide your medicine. I think a lot of times we try to reach outside of ourselves and say, oh, this is what I do when I'm grieving. I go to a support group. If like riding horses is your healing, going to the beach, like going somewhere with your best friend, it can be literally anything. It can be off the wall. It's just giving yourself permission to keep your spirits happy and to move through grief that's medicine for you, because the point is to feel lighter. It's to acknowledge the pain, but to feel lighter. And what that is for you, only listen to that voice. But of course, there are some beautiful tools out there: massage therapy, somatic healing, Reiki. There's so much healing modalities out there that you can take advantage of in a pause. And so this is a really great time to heal and rest. Sometimes we don't realize how much rest we need coming out of transformation or fiery transformation, especially if it's been going on for years. You need a lot more time to rest than you think, and rest will look different every day. So try and keep that in mind. And the thing that's really going to help you is the connection to self. So how can you on a daily basis connect to your own inner voice? I actually have book plug. My book, Using Tarot to Transform Your Life, goes through a whole list of things that you can do to connect to the self, different tools, rituals, and practices that I've personally used in my life that have been really helpful for me to connect to the self. So I'll link the book below if you're interested. But whatever you can do to hear yourself clearly in your own inner voice, to kind of feel into your body, because the fires of transformation in the pause gives us opportunities to really finally tune into the body and listen. Because I think a lot of times when we're transforming and things are dismantling, it's because it's telling us the truth. Maybe we weren't acting in a way that really honors self because we are caretakers, right? Or there's something we feel like we have to do or we should do, and we're ignoring our body. And so the pause is your body saying, hey, you ignored me for too long. Let me rest. And now listen to me. So that's something to be considering about relocation. So if you're starting to feel like after relocation and the healing and the grief, that you thinking about rebuilding, just thinking about it, okay? We're not getting to the rebuilding phase yet. I have found that there is something that helped me, and that is the retirement mindset. And if you think about what retirement is, like I think of it in terms of my parents, honestly, like when they retire from work and now they have their savings, they're on a new income and they have all this time, right? And time to explore. So it's kind of like you're in new architecture. And so first of all, it's good to think about, what have I just retired from? What am I moving away from? Sometimes that's, really sitting down and thinking about, okay, what did I just get out of and why? But then thinking about the retirement mindset, which is my favorite. It's like, what if, you had all the resources in the world, even energy, time and energy and money, and what would you want to spend your time doing? Because that liminal space between relocation and rebuilding is when you start to think about, oh, this is what I want to do. I'm calling it the golden thread. Say you are a tapestry and the fires just burned it and you are now naked. You have no tapestry. You're just empty. You've been emptied out. So now you're thinking about how to reweave it, and you want to find that golden thread. And you can only get there by listening. So listening to, in that liminal space, to your body and your love. What is something that you would just love to do all the time? And that is a beautiful way to start. So retirement mindset, try to, like, even if you're in a job, how can you take a vacation and trick your mind to say, I'm on holiday? Basically, just clear your schedule like you already are. Embody that energy as much as you possibly can, and don't put a single thing on your schedule. Because I will tell you that I have noticed, whenever I tried, when I was in liminal space, to put things on my schedule, it did not go well. I had to sit. I had to sit in that darkness. I had to sit in that pause, and really integrate and digest, and for a lot longer than I thought. So if you're listening to this, maybe I can help save you from overscheduling. But if anything, as any mystic knows, you can tell somebody, here are the initiatory forces. Here's what's going to happen. Here's the knowledge, but it's not in wisdom until you trek it yourself. So maybe exposing these things will help you through it. Maybe feel a little bit better about what you're going through, and maybe know that you're not alone. But the wisdom will come of your own making, right? But try not to overload your schedule in the pause, because as much rest as you can get in that patience, it's going to pay so much dividends, because you're getting down to the deepest core of yourself about what you really want to do and what's most deeply fulfilling. So it's a very exploratory phase, and it's time to get a little messy. You're like a child playing again. It's like trying to teach yourself how to play. And oftentimes in an ego death or any type of transformation, it's taking you away out of the shoulds and the conditioning, so that you can be like, whoa, I did that because of this and this, and not because I really wanted to. And I am supported in doing what I love. The universe wants to give their forces to your momentum, to the things that you desire. Okay. So that's relocation and retirement mindset, to trick yourself into being that retirement mindset. And then, dealing with the creative void. So right as you're starting to think about rebuilding, and say you start trying to weave new threads, this is such a vulnerable and raw time, guys. And I'm sure you've heard this on YouTube all the time. And when you start rebuilding the threads of your new life, you will feel like tested and disrupted in your mind like nobody's business. You're going to doubt. You're going to just feel strange in your body. You're going to feel hyped up, maybe adrenaline, maybe your nervous system gets tight, because it's like your pain body being like, whoa, do you remember when we were the last life we built and what happened? So just remember to just keep that in mind as you're reweaving, as you're rebuilding your life. It's going to feel very disruptive and very uncomfortable. And if you think about just things in terms of nature, right? Say that there was a fire, the tree burned down and it's now in the soil, like the seeds are down there. The water comes, and the water is emotion, right? It's those tears literally flowering our new future. And then the seed, literally the sprout breaks out of it. and it's uncomfortable. You're breaking apart. You're like sprouting through the earth. It's like force moving you. It's intense. It doesn't feel good. It's uncomfortable. So just kind of remember that as you're reweaving new threads and spring is coming with new growth and a fresh new life. You're just coming out of the portal and you're like blinking and you're just like, I've been in the transformation and in this dark portal for so long. I was like, this is weird. This is strange. You're going to feel sensitive and you're going to feel raw. You don't have that skin yet, or your familiar structures and routines that make it easier for you. So please be gentle with yourself during this time. You're going to feel very triggered. It's just like, holy triggered. Okay. Hashtag triggered. And the last thing that I kind of want to like get into this is as you're rebuilding with your golden thread, just remember everything that you've gone through. You can even remember the grief and you're like, you know what? After everything I've gone through, I am definitely going to I know that I'm deserving and worthy of a life that I love. And so rebuild in that love as much as you possibly can. Keep your spirits happy throughout this whole process. And remember, you're hearing it from me. You're doing a great job, and I'm proud of you. Okay, so what are some of the things that can, like, I obviously use tarot, and so I thought, why not give you guys a couple questions that you can ask if you have a tarot deck when you're going through transformation during this time. And a good question to ask is, what structures am I retiring from? Just to give yourself some awareness about what was dismantled and why. What new environment or rhythm supports my new self? This may surprise you, because it surprised me just how much rest and how much slowing down was needed. Now I've gotten into the rhythm, but at first it was very uncomfortable to deal with that different speed. And then the last question is, where are you trying to bring the old architecture into the new terrain? Because if anything, it's the hardest thing to do to stay in your strength and stay strong in that liminal space, because you don't have anything that was like familiar or like you would go to for safety, right? You're having to build new safety for yourself. And so it's tempting to go back because it was familiar. Your nervous system is like, hey, remember that? That kind of made me feel safe. And then the other part of you is like, oh, no, you thought you were safe, but you were not. You know better now. Your eyes have been awakened. That's not safe. Right here by yourself, holding yourself, that's the safest place you can be. And doing this practice is going to be the safety net now. So just kind of keep that in mind. Stay strong in your liminal space, because you are rising to new heights, baby. Don't you want that new life? I mean, I want that new life. Seriously, after what I've gone through, I'm going to sit here until that new life sprouts, and I'm going to do whatever I need to do, because I do want a more fulfilling life. Also, I thought I would add this. In my book, there is a spread I created called the Flame Spread, and it's literally what we're talking about. It's one of my favorite things to do when you're going through transformation and new things are happening, or maybe you're just like really confused, like what in the heck of transformation is going on. And that's in chapter 22. So I'll link my book below. You can actually get it on all platforms. All booksellers have it, and it's in ebook form as well. But that would be a really great spread to do in honor of transformation. Okay, guys, if you've gotten this far, thank you so much. That was a lot of fun for me. The last thing that we're going to do is review a tarot deck and give you a live reading and messages from that tarot deck. And yeah, I'm doing this because I love it. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I really want to see someone use a deck before I purchase it, not just, and like, I don't know why more places don't have like open decks so you can get a sense and a feel for them. So in one way, this is for me and my fun, but I hope it helps you. And get some tea to kind of amp things up. But you know what? The reason why I am reviewing this one was just because it caught my eye. But now I'm thinking, like right now in this video, I was like, oh, that was a good call, especially for the Scorpio energy. It's Collette Baron-Reid's Enchanted map. I'll be honest with you, my nervous system would sweat each time that I would pick up this, and I'm pretty sure any Collette Baron-Reid does the same thing for me. She can be a real blunt instrument, and I think it's good on some level, but sometimes I feel like it's a little too ego blunt, if I'm honest. By ego blunt, I mean like it incites shame and judgment. And then, of course, when I go back to it as my healed self, it doesn't seem as harsh. But I do want to warn you, like, there are some zings in here. So that's why sometimes I don't reach for it. But I do reach for it when I want to look in that mirror and I want to see true. So that's when Collette Baron-Reid is great. And when you think about that Scorpio energy, that, you know, that sting, right? That the ability to look at the deepest truth, then this is a really great one. So how I am going to be reviewing these is basically a score. And I should have a calculator because I'm terrible at math. But I'm rating a 1 out of 7 for hand feel, because for me, the way that I shuffle, hand feel is so important. And if I can't shuffle it easily, that drives me nuts. Another 1 out of 7 for pictures, and then 1 out of 7 for the booklet. Okay, so let's get into the Enchanted map oracle cards. So I like this also when in terms of transformation, because a lot of times we call transformation the hero's journey. You're traveling. And to me, the hero's journey is really a labyrinth in our own minds that we are going through. And so you're literally traveling. You're traveling through the maze. And so I think that's a beautiful way to kind of depict transformation as an enchanted map. So I really like the hand feel. I will say it's really easy. I like it when they're nice and transparent and glossy. So I'm actually giving these a 7 out of 7. And the pictures I found have been really helpful. You know how sometimes in tarot decks or oracle cards, you'll look at the pictures and you're just like, it's not sparking anything in you, or like the beauty isn't inspiring you. I will say I'm not as finicky about the pictures. I'm really finicky about the descriptions though. But so just so you know, my grading system on pictures probably won't be as picky as yours, because I don't mind as much as long as the description is good, but to each their own, right? But I think I'm going to give the artwork, it's digital, I can tell, and it's pretty relevant to the messages themselves, and I can see how your eyes could pick up on things and get even more messages. So I give it a 6 out of 7. So we have a 7 out of 7 and a 6 out of 7. And as for the description for this oracle card deck, it's pretty good. It has an upright and reversed, and I really love when there's a quote at the top. And here's what's kind of strange. I've noticed most often when I use this oracle card deck, I only need to pay attention to the little quote at the top. I don't know why. To just kind of note, you know, if you're using oracle cards and you're using your third eye and you're not really sure if it's upright or reversed or what you should be paying attention to, sometimes just reading the whole thing, feel it in your body, you'll notice something zing you. You just got to pay attention. And so that's how I was able to discern, oh, this is all I needed to hear. And I've done this enough to where I can trust my discernment. I will say early on in my journey, I probably would not have trusted my discernment as much, because I was probably still wanting to see things I wanted to see, but that is all part of the journey. So let's go ahead and get a reading from these. Let's just kind of have a free general thing and see what pops up. And I'm someone that likes to shuffle until something flies out, or like you notice one of the cards just kind of seem to pop out a bit. Whoop. See, that's how I know. And I want to do 3 because I always feel like a good message is in 3s. But sometimes I'll shuffle and shuffle and shuffle. If nothing comes out, that's how I know. Okay, the thread is done. Oh, there we go. Okay, come on now. All right. Oh, they're all upright. I love when that happens. So just to kind of give you guys a look at the picture, I do love this picture, making a choice, and look at that, 2 doors. That you could think about that as liminal space, right? What are we choosing? Are we choosing from our ego, or are we choosing from love? Something to think about in Scorpio season. And here we have wide open. Oh, I love that. But what else do you do in your liminal space? You realize you're limitless, and that creative void is scary because you are there and it's just all is possible. And there's not as much assistance spiritually, I've noticed in these times, because you're really training your voice within to figure out what it is that you want. What possibilities do you want for yourself? And then we have flying. Oh, I love that. You can see kind of like a unicorn. Ooh, were we not talking about a maze? Oh, could that unicorn be coming out of the maze we were just talking about? Oh, I love when that happens. But look at this. I might have to give the pictures a better score because this looks amazing. All right, look at this. There's this lady literally on the cliff. It's wide open. She's choosing which door she's going through, and now she's going to take that leap. Oh, yes. I did kind of feel for the week ahead, we are dealing with some Fool energy about taking risks and taking the leap and living the life that you're meant to live, and being bold and courageous. And this already reminds me of a card I kind of pulled before I started speaking. And it was stop underestimating your magic. There are treasures within you waiting to be discovered, waiting to be shared. So, what I'm sensing is there is something within you that wants to be shared, wants to be explored, and it feels risky and it feels scary. Oh my God, I feel so seen right now. I feel personally attacked. So, in a lot of ways, this podcast is definitely something that I love and I wanted to share. And it's me being bold and just doing what I want to do and spending time how I want to spend time. This is what I want to do boldly. Can I just do this all the time? Because that would be fantastic. And you know what? I'm going to do something bold right now. If you want to support me loving what it is that I do, and you feel you get something from this wisdom, please please subscribe, send me a comment. I would absolutely love that. It would mean a lot to me. You can also support me by getting a personal one-on-one reading with me. And I always feel weird about that. And I will full on confess, this is going to sound so bad, but when I am listening to a tarot reading and then I hear the readers say that, sometimes I get a little irritated. And I think it's just me. I'm sure it's just my own mirror, sheepish about plugging myself and putting myself forward. So, and I shouldn't be. I know I've been doing this a really long time, and I'm really good at what I do. So that is me taking a leap and choosing love. So that's something to start thinking about. How can you expand as much as you expand and think as limitless as you possibly can? And how would you choose if that was the case, if you were choosing from your heart and not your ego? And then unfurl those wings and fly. Take the leap. The universe will always support what's true and what is love for you. So thank you guys for coming on this journey with me for the first episode of Tarot, Tea, and Transformation. We will be back next week with a new transformation topic, and I'm dying to know how your week went. And of course, I had a literal blast, and I'm pretty much at the bottom of my tea. And I hope I remember to link everything that I mentioned. Please keep me honest. If I've forgotten something, please let me know. Okay, let's all take a deep breath. let's close the session. I usually light a candle and I completely forgot. I won't forget that next time. That's how I personally close the portal. So I'll have to think about something else. But just something I always like to say, talking about transcending the maze or coming out of the maze, is that the flame in me walks beside the flame in you, and may you rise and leap in joyful fire. Love you guys.